Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Star Wars Day to every Star Wars fan out there. May the 4th be with you. In order to celebrate today, I decided I'm going to rank every single Star Wars movie from the worst to the best. And I'm going to try to stay as positive as I can because today's Star Wars Day. We're here to celebrate this franchise. So with that said, be sure to tell me down below in the comments how you would rank these. We're going to have different lists and that's fine. And also, if you want more of my content, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. With that said, let's get started with this ranking. Coming in at last place for me is going to be Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Now, I do enjoy this movie. I think there are moments that are good, but I think as a whole, it is a pretty weak film. I'm not the biggest fan of the dialogue in this. I do think the relationships, especially between like Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme and Anakin, I do think they're not well established. And overall, the movie does have some political stuff that I don't really understand, and it's pretty slow at times. But I do think there's like some moments, especially in the final battle, we see Yoda fight for the first time. I think that's a lot of fun, but overall there's just way too many weak points to put this movie any higher. Next up is going to be Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Now, Phantom Menace is a fun ride. I think it's fast-paced. There's moments that are really good, especially like the pod racing scene, and I love the Duel of the Fates. It's a great lightsaber battle, one of the most iconic, and there's a lot of other sequences like that that are a lot of fun. But again, the movie does have some bad dialogue, some bad political meeting stuff that are very slow and don't make any sense at times, and obviously Jar Jar Binks is horrible. So overall, it's a fun movie, but this is another one where there's a lot of negatives, and there's also some really bad CGI in this. So I enjoy the movie, but I do think it's pretty weak compared to the other Star Wars movies. Next up is going to be Solo, a Star Wars Story. This one, I enjoy this one more than a lot of other people do. I think it's fun. I do like the cast. I don't obviously love the person that plays Han Solo in this one as much as Harrison Ford, but I do think he plays a pretty good Han Solo. I enjoy some of the sequences, some of the action sequences, but the movie overall is predictable and the villain isn't all that great. So even though I enjoy the movie, even though there's some great sequences, as a whole, it's not a great film. Next up is going to be Star Wars The Last Jedi. This is a very, very divisive movie. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm in the middle. I enjoy the movie. First off, visually, I think this is the best looking Star Wars movie. I think it has some great shots. Obviously, the throne room battle is amazing. It's one of my favorite Star Wars lightsaber battles. And I think some of the characters are pretty good in this one. And some of the characters are really bad, especially Finn and Rose. I loved Finn in Force Awakens, but here he's just brought down a lot. And I think even some of the other side characters are pretty weak, like Admiral Holdo. And also Luke is in this, and he just doesn't feel like a proper continuation off of the original trilogy. I really love Luke's character in the original trilogy, but here he's just really brought down. He just doesn't feel the same. I respect what they're doing, that, you know, they're exploring a broken hero, but the execution just doesn't work as well as it could have. The movie does have some great action sequences. The final battle is pretty good. The throne room battle is great. And there's some other small moments in the movie that are fun, but I do think it's a pretty weak movie when it comes to Star Wars. Next up is going to be Rise of Skywalker. Now, Rise of Skywalker, in my opinion, I think it's a fun movie. I don't love it. I don't hate it either, but I think it's a fun enough and a good enough conclusion to the Star Wars saga. But when it comes to Star Wars and when you're putting a close to it, good enough is not really enough. I do think there's some moments that are really good. I love the scene that Ben Solo has with his father, Han Solo obviously, and the fight between Rey and Kylo Ren is great. And there's some other fights too that are really, really cool. I love the CGI in the movie. The story doesn't really make a lot of sense though, because it just feels like a bunch of fan theories put together, and it doesn't really work that way. So the movie does have some positives, but overall I do think it's a weak conclusion to the Star Wars saga. Next up is going to be Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Now, I love every movie from here onward, so I love Revenge of the Sith. I think this movie is probably the most emotional Star Wars movie because this is where you see Anakin turn into Darth Vader and see the implications of that. And I feel like the emotional element in this movie is really present. There's some amazing action sequences. I love the fight between Yoda and Palpatine, and obviously the one between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And by the end of the movie, you just feel the dreadfulness of it. Feel how everything just failed. The heroes didn't win, and it just continues off into New Hope really, really well. So I love what it did for the Star Wars saga, and I think it's a great conclusion to the prequel trilogy, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the other prequels. Next up is going to be Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I think Rogue One is a great film. This movie just gets better and better. It starts off okay, it's slow, but over time, but as you watch the rest of the movie, it just picks up the pace, and there's more action sequences, more humor, and like the final third act of the movie is just straight up a war. And obviously the Darth Vader sequence is great. I think this movie just adds the word war into Star Wars, and I think it's a good lead up into A New Hope, so I do really enjoy that about it. And I think this is a movie that's going to move up as time goes on because every time I rewatch it, I just like it a little bit more. Next up is going to be Star Wars A New Hope. Now, this is a great beginning to a great saga. I think the characters are cast really well. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, I think all of them are great characters. And it just sets up the rest of the movies really well. Even the prequels, you want to know what happened before this, and you want to know what's going to happen after this. So once you watch this movie, you're just really intrigued. You're pulled into this universe, and it's just really exciting and a fun time. And when it came out, it was a monumental sci-fi movie, so I just love it for those reasons. There are some weak points, but overall, it's just a fantastic film. Kicking off my top 3 is going to be Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I think Return of the Jedi is a really good movie. I think it's a great conclusion to the original trilogy. And this is a movie that I think does a great job of concluding everything. Like the Darth Vader plotline, I do love his redemption. I love how Luke Skywalker's arc comes to a close when he finally becomes a Jedi. And I know a lot of people have some issues with the movie, like the Ewoks and stuff. I can get over that, honestly. The rest of the stuff in this movie is good enough for me to get over those little nitpicks that a lot of other people have with it. The only issue I'd say I'd have, I think the whole Jabba the Hutt palace stuff, it just feels disconnected from the rest of the movie. But other than that, this is a great conclusion to an amazing trilogy. Our runner-up is going to be Star Wars The Force Awakens. This is one that a lot of people have started to hate on as time went on because of Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, but I don't treat movies based on their successors or predecessors. I treat them by themselves, and this one, in and of itself, is a great film. I think it's a great start to the trilogy, even though the rest of the movies weren't that great. I think the movie does a great job setting up these characters, Rey, Finn, Kylo Ren, even Poe. Even though he's mostly a side character, I do love how his characters kind of set up to be in the rest of the movies. I really enjoy seeing Han Solo in this one. I think his arc, you really see how he's changed from A New Hope in this movie. And I think the action in this movie is great. I know a lot of people say it's a rehash of A New Hope. I can get over that because I do think it's slightly better than New Hope. And I think it does a great job of rehashing it, even though it is the exact same movie in a lot of ways. And also, I think this is the most rewatchable and the most fun Star Wars movie. And it's probably the one I have seen the most. So I do really, really love it. But coming in at first place is going to be Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. This movie is just iconic. A lot of people love it, including me. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. And this is the one that delivers on everything Star Wars is supposed to deliver. Great action. And when it comes to the action, honestly, this movie has tons of different types of action sequences. The first one is with like the Imperial March, the second one is like a chase in space, and then the final battle is like obviously a lightsaber battle between Luke and Darth Vader, and it's the first great lightsaber battle because the one in New Hope isn't all that great. So I love all that stuff, and I think the movie has a great storyline. It basically functions as an origin story for Luke Skywalker. So you see his character kind of grow a little bit. You see him training with Yoda and stuff, and I think that's some fun and that leads to some fun moments. And I love Yoda as like a teacher in this movie, because in the prequels he starts fighting, but here he's just a teacher, and I really like that regular sense that he has. This movie also leaves us on a great cliffhanger at the end. It reveals that Darth Vader is Luke's father. I knew that going into this movie because I saw it in 2020, and by then literally everyone knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father. But it still does leave us on a cliffhanger note because Han Solo is still trapped in carbonite, and Luke and Leia and the rest of the crew is going back. So how are they gonna continue off from here? So it kind of leaves you on that note. And I just love how it has a dark ending, even though the rest of the movie's pretty hopeful. So this movie delivers on everything: the action, the characters, the story. So it comes in at number 1. Be sure to tell me down in the comments again, how would you rank all the Star Wars movies? This is just my opinion, and I'd love to see yours. Also, if you want more of my popular franchise rankings, you can check those out right up there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.